I don't think can y'all hear me okay? Can y'all hear me? Let me know in the chat. Can y'all hear me okay? Let me know. Okay. They hear me. Adrian, they can't hear you. So it's I can't hear you either. No, I can't hear you. Something is off with your sound. Something off with your sound. Okay, y'all can hear me? Okay, perfect. I still can't. Can y'all hear her? Can y'all hear her? Let me see if it's mine. You might want to come back out and come back in. I still can't hear you. What up, though? I can't. We can't hear you, Adrian. We can't hear you. Yeah, so we can't hear her. So yeah, some sound issues on your end. The sound says no, Adrian. The sound guys is playing. Okay, there we go. All right, welcome to my stream. Let me take over this stream, y'all, real quick, just so y'all know. Welcome to my stream, y'all. We got my people in the building. Let me know in the chat. Can y'all hear me okay? Y'all know I take over stuff anyway. So this is my stream now. I took over Adrian's stream. It's my stream. I'm known to do that from time to time. That's all the universe wanted me to do was take over the stream. So what's up, family? How's everybody doing today? Let me know in the chat. Okay, yeah, we'll wait for Adrian. I will take over her show. I know how to take over some stuff. Let me not take over her show. All right. So let's see. Let me put this in my studio. All right, there we go. So yeah, we're gonna wait for Adrian to come back so she can. I'm crystal clear, right? Y'all can hear me okay. Y'all can see me okay. Y'all can see me, right? Hear me perfectly. Okay, this is StreamYard. I don't use StreamYard. So all right, let me see. She gonna pop back in. Where did Adrian go? All right. Yeah, the GOAT. There's nothing else like the GOAT. So we're gonna let me just see where Adrian is. Okay, perfect. I like when people say I'm perfect. All right. What's up, beautiful people? Let's talk about it's a lot of stuff going on in I hacked the stream. All right, so listen, welcome to Adrian's stream. I'm not the host, but I'm gonna be your host today. Justin Burns, welcome you to the future of what we're building, right? We got a lot of builders in the chat. We got a lot of amazing things going on. Let me know in the chat if you are excited about the future. Let me know in the chat if you are excited about the future. Put some ones in the chat if you are excited about the future of what's coming or what is here. Let me know in the chat if you are excited about what's here. So, if you are watching this, I know we got a lot of my people in the chat. If you're watching this, don't forget, shameless plug, while we waiting on Adrian, shameless plug, we got Apps Built with AI Live. Adrian wouldn't mind me pitching on her show. June 6th and 7th, we got the future of AI coming to you. There's not going to be an event, anything like June 6th, June 7th, which is coming. I'm going to share with you the 5 core areas that everybody should be investing in. If you are not, you should be doing it all day long, which is number 1. We're going to talk about this on the show as soon as we get Adrian back in. We're going to be talking about number 1 is there's so many areas of technology that are converging, which we're going to talk about this. 5 areas that are converging that over the next 5 years is going to create a massive amount of wealth for people that are attached to what's coming. All right. So those 5 areas, if you don't know what they are, you can build a piece of technology in these areas. Number 1 is digital currency. As you guys are going to see, digital currency is going to be one of the changes that is being made. So I'm going to teach you guys, especially when Adriane comes back, how you can apply those 5 areas to your business and what you could do now, because a lot of people, they are not prepared for what's coming. So digital currency, you guys already heard of Bitcoin. And by the way, another shameless plug I didn't mention, I'm going to launch this at the event, is all of this will be in my brand new book. I done took over Adriane's show for real. Girl, where you at, Adriane? I'm about to take over this whole show. But listen, my new book is coming out in a month. I'm excited because I've been building this, called The Future Is Now, which is what we're going to talk about today. So, shameless plug, I got a book coming out at the end of the month. I got a book coming out at the end of the month. All right. We got a book coming out called The Future Is Now. Going to talk about the 5 core areas of wealth, of what we call the future of wealth. One is digital currency. The way that you're going to be able to capitalize off of that is going to be essentially making sure that by the end of 2026, that your app or whatever you're promoting, that you accept digital currency. One of the things about me is I'm always moving and shaking. I'm always looking at where the needle is going. Right now, one of the biggest needles is that digital currency is about to be forefront. A lot of these banks, a lot of these businesses have gotten the green light to be able to approve digital currency. So you are going to see it take off. So how does that help you? Well, that means that you should be accepting digital currency into your business. All right. You should be accepting digital currency into your business, number one. All right, we got Adriane back. We're gonna hold off on that. Adriane, you there, girl? I done took over your whole show, girl. You there? Let me see. Adriane, Adriane is back. I always
this has been amazing.
Perfect. I took over the whole show. So don't worry, I've been teaching them good stuff. Let me know if you are ready, Adriane. Let me know. All right.
Can you hear me, Cole?
I can hear you. Got an echo though. You have an echo. So now let's see if we can hear you.
Okay, try it now.
You still got an echo? Yeah, it's still echoing. Yep.
Okay. Give me one more second.
All right, let's go back into bring me back up. So I know how to see. Look, you got to be ready for whatever comes your way. Let's get it. You know, see what I'm telling y'all? One of the comments always say, you always got to be ready no matter what challenge comes your way. Tech challenges, you got to stay ready. You can't be, if somebody put a mic in my hand, I'm always be ready. Let's talk about number 2 for those of you that are here with us in the building. Number 2, we talked about digital currency. You need to have some level of digital currency, that you are accepting digital currency into your business. Number 2 is we also have energy. Many of you probably haven't thought about how can you actually apply this to your business. Well, energy, despite what they tell you, like I always like to say, energy is going to be something that is going to become $1 billion industry. How many of you guys know that they've told you a lie, that there is a limited amount of energy? How many of you guys have heard that garbage before? How many of you guys have heard that? That's the biggest lie in the world. There is an abundance of energy in the world. Okay. And so you can be able to put your business in place. How do you capitalize off of this? You can invest into energy, or you can figure out a way for your app to basically be attached to energy. That's number 2. Number 3 is my favorite, which is why I'm the CEO of Apps Built with AI. That is building yourself a software app. All right. Building yourself a software app, which is what most of my people in the chat are doing. You guys are going to always hear me say this. The app industry is a $4 trillion industry. It goes 20% year over year, and it's never going away. Now, let me teach you guys something that you might not have heard before from me. It's like, how do you actually build a 1% app? You've heard me talk about the mechanics, but also you haven't probably heard me talk about some of the other things, right? Which is that you have to have a moat attached to your product. I was listening to actually the founder of Snapchat talk about this yesterday with Snapchat. A lot of people haven't heard of Snapchat, but and some of you thought Snapchat was gone, right? But Snapchat is still around and it's still producing about $6 billion, $6 billion in revenue. And one thing he said that was very interesting was people are building products, but if you were the moat used to be features and it used to be all of that, right? And he said one word, if you guys can guess what it is, but some of you may be here, you may not know who I am, but I'll just tell you, he said, the people who win will win through distribution, right? And it was so powerful to hear that. So it's all about distribution. What is distribution? Distribution is the ability to get your app and get your product in front of other people and they use it. And also, distribution is building a community around your product. Okay, that's the biggest thing. Is building distribution around your product. Okay, if you are able to build distribution, people will scream from the rooftops who you are, what you are, and they will recommend you to everybody else. All right. So number 3, build your app. Also, you can be thinking about if you want to think bigger, like most people don't think big like this. If you want to be able to really be into the future, you can also figure out in the future, not right now, is as your app is growing, how can you attach a piece of hardware to it that also will make sure that you don't have a lot of competition. So we're also thinking about this as well because people can't duplicate, they can't necessarily duplicate hardware. All right. Give me some ones in the chat if this making sense. If it's giving you some ideas. I was not expecting to come and teach today, but y'all here, right? And if my people here, I'm gonna be here with y'all. All right. So you get 3. Thank you. It says 3B. 3B. Attach a hardware to your product. All right. Number 4 area of wealth. Hardware could be like WAP. WAP has a device that's attached to their software, right? So also you can create partnerships with organizations that have hardware, or you can essentially, like, if somebody has, like, if you only built on a device that only has that specific device. Like, so, there's so much coming. And again, this is not something I recommend because it does require you to go deeper, but I just want you to start thinking bigger and think about things in the future. All right. That's just one of the capitalizations. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? Let me see. Does that make sense? Let me know if that makes sense. So this is like these are things that people are not thinking about. All right, let's see if our girl is back. Otherwise, we may have to.
Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you, but now I can't see you.
Right. So the best of 2 evils, we can talk about it, but not we can see your amazing face and then just look at my black screen.
All right, we'll push through it, or we can reschedule. What you want to do?
I'm really not for rescheduling. I cannot believe this.
Okay, we can move through with the black screen. We can move through. So let's get it. Let's make it happen.
So the great thing is, I wanted to thank you for having the opportunity to even you kind of touch base on it, just talking a little bit about your story and getting started with the whole process. So what inspired you, Justin, just to taking a step back? I know you jumped right into apps built with AI. But taking a step back, tell us a little bit about the story of who Justin Burns is and the reason why, you got started with doing what you do.
Yeah, definitely. So, I'm Justin Burns. I was born and raised on the south side of Chicago, born and raised. And I always like to say, I'm just a boy from the south side of Chicago. I grew up, interestingly enough, not really having a lot of background, not really knowing what I wanted to do with my life. Um, I was pretty much lost. I had a lot. I even had teachers that told me that I would probably be dead before I'm 25. Crazy, right? Now, I
Wow.
wasn't really a street guy. I had a brother though who ran the streets a lot. And some people don't know this, but I had a brother that ran the streets a lot, and he protected me. He was like, "You're the smart guy. We're gonna protect you." And I didn't think I was that smart at the time. Maybe he was just trying to. Maybe he was future pacing, right?
Mhm. Right, right.
As the universe likes to do, right? So he was future pacing. So yeah, so I mean, I ran the streets. So I was attempted to run the streets, but I was protected a lot. But that still didn't stop what was going on. And then fast forward, I got out of college. I mean, I'm sorry, I got out of high school, didn't really feel good enough to go to college. And then as I was going through trying to figure out what I was going to do with my life, I met this guy who was a speak. I had to take night classes just to graduate out of high school, which is crazy, right? I
Mhm.
just had to literally take night classes just to get out of school. And I met this guy that changed my life forever. He was a communication coach. Now, why I was in communication class, I had no idea. 'Cause I was absolutely terrible at communication. But he taught me something that I still carry today. He says, if you master communication, you
Mm,
will be wealthy for the rest of your life.
mm,
Um, Not just in money, but in relationships and the way that the world perceives you and the way that the world will basically respond to you. And so, one of the things that I was able to get into, and one of the things that I was able to do was I became really good. And what it taught me, he taught me a very valuable lesson. He taught me, and this is the first time I ever heard this, Adrian, which was crazy. He said, I want you to read books. I was like, what? Like, read what type of books? Because I was only taught to read books in school, right? He
mhm.
said, I want you to read books. And I was like, where do I get these books outside of college? He was like, well, we're going to start at the library. So I started reading these books and it was tough. And I read Zig Ziglar was my first book that I read outside of college. I don't know. Y'all might be a little too younger to remember Zig. How many of y'all remember Zig Ziglar in the chat? Let me know in the chat. How many of y'all remember Zig
Definitely
Ziglar?
no Zig. Come on.
Listen,
Anybody? Right.
they might not remember Zig. It's this new generation, man. They don't remember, the goats of sales and all of that. So, and this is still live, right? Let me know in the chat if y'all can still hear us, see us in the chat. Let me know in the chat. I just want to make sure they could even hear me too. Let me know in the chat. Okay, season. There we go. All right, I was just making sure y'all can hear me. So, basically, like there was Emma's on. So yeah, so essentially, I went through a lot of the chaos in order to build out, to learn this skill set, and then life started preparing me for a lot of things.
Mhm,
I went to, after that, I went to, and I think I went to essentially like I also went in and started kind of like trying to revise my life, trying to figure out what I was going to do with everything. And then I started learning sales. I went through a few things like a few sales processes. And I bounced around from job to job. Interestingly enough, some of y'all don't know this part of the story about me. I actually worked at Best Buy. It's still around. Best Buy is still around. One of my first jobs was Best Buy. I used to sell CDs out of the CD section. Um, and then again, I kept meeting all of these people that would basically be a part of my destiny. I call it a destiny moment. I have a kind of like a saying, right? I always like to say that the people that you meet, good or bad, are all pieces to the puzzle in your purpose. Let me say
mm.
that again. Every person that you meet, good or bad, is a piece to the puzzle in your purpose. Every single person, right? So your ex, yes, I'm talking about y'all. Your ex, yes, your ex was a piece of the puzzle in your purpose. I know you don't like them, but they're a piece of the puzzle in your purpose. Okay. So every person kind of gives you a destiny. And some of us are ready to receive those pieces of the puzzles and those destiny moments. Some of us are not ready, right? So anyway, fast forward, I proceeded to hop around from job to job. And then finally, I landed as a cell phone salesman working at a company called US Cellular in 2008. And in 2008, I was basically working at this job and I started to put everything I learned to the test. So I'm learning out of this book from Zig Ziglar, and I'm sitting down with this guy. He said, I'm going to hire you because I need somebody. But he's like, I think you can become good at sales. And I said, well, tell me what sales is, because I've been learning from this book from Zig Ziglar. And he said, listen, sales and marketing and persuasion is all about your ability to communicate, right? And I kept hearing this communication thing. See what I'm saying? I'm like, this is the second time in my life that there was something with communication that was happening. So fast forward, I get this job, and he said a thing to me that really, really helped me. Again, mentors come to us, and it's up to us to basically change our lives through mentorship. So he said to me, he said, listen, he brought me out to the sales floor, Adrian. He had me look at the sales floor. He said, what do you see? And I had some young eyes at the time, right? I didn't have a lot of wisdom at that time. And he said, you see a lot of people that are not hungry enough. I was like, I started noticing customers were coming through the door. People was on their phones. People were on the computer. So I was very different. He was like, if you were to show up in life very much so different, you would change your thinking and change your life. And so fast forward, I decided to go all in, apply the principles, and within about literally probably a good 3 months, I became the number one salesman in that organization.
Ooh.
For three years straight, applying everything I learned. So I was like 23, 24, making like $20,000 a month in sales. And it completely shifted my paradigm because nobody in my family had ever did that. And it also rocked my paradigm because I was taught that in order to make that type of money, you had to have a bachelor's degree and all type of PhDs. And I realized through talking and communicating that I had basically found the key to life. And so I kept, going, kept moving. And then fast forward, I met this guy who used to come into my cell phone shop, another destiny moment. This guy used to come in the middle of the day, and I was like, what does this dude do? He got to be homeless or something, but I know he got money, but something is like, what was going on with this? I didn't know. He was a very special guy. And I said, well, what do you do? And he told me that he sold ebooks on the internet. And I was like, this is not, well, mind y'all, this is 2007, right? 2007. So can you imagine somebody coming to you and saying to you that, hey, do you have an ebook? Or do you have, like, I didn't know what an ebook was. I didn't even know what the heck. I barely got into books.
Right.
So 2007, this guy introduced me to ebooks, and it was very interesting. And he said, hey, they're doing this event. That's what I'm telling. When I tell people to come to events, I don't think they think I've been doing this for so long. I realize the importance of it. From 2017, 2007, he invites me to this event. I go to this event and I'm sitting in the seat, and they're talking about a lot of different topics. And then one of the speakers said, man, do you guys don't know what the future is going to be like? Let me paint a picture for you. He said, in the next decade, people from London, Spain, Germany, Africa, everywhere, they're going to be able to buy your product with little to no resistance. And it's going to change a lot of people's life if they follow through and know what's going on. I don't know what happened in that moment, but I was like, my ears I was like, what? Wait, what?
Right.
I was like, wait a second. You can sell products online and make a lot of wealth. And that's when at that moment I realized that I had found my destiny. So for the past Since that point, we didn't make any money for 3 or 4 years. Like I told you, people give up way too soon before they hit the finish line. For 3 years, I kept trying and failing and trying and failing. And then within 3 years, we cracked our first $10,000 year. Then we did a $10,000 month. Then we did a $10,000 day. And I just since then have been growing internet businesses to the tune of 30,000 customers that span a decade. And yeah, that's the short version of the
journey. And thank you for sharing this short but long but amazing version in itself as well. But you skipped over a pertinent part that I have to go back to that is so key, is that pleasure travel that you talked about in regards to selling everything. Now, did I lose you too?
Nope, I'm here.
Okay. So I know that you, a few years back, you sold, I remember that it stands out in the story in regards to even just starting in December, us connecting, my business partner and I connecting with you. Because again, when you said you sold everything, I knew it was God aligned in regards to the journey being with you. Even this moment, to all of this happening, Justin, I know is divine reasoning. But when you know that, when you left with 2 suitcases in a backpack and went to Africa and just freed yourself in regards to that spiritual journey, talk a little bit about what you were trying to free yourself in regards to the impact that you were going to make and the God's design of your purpose.
Yeah, that's a good question. So I always feel like, I always say this because I never hold back who I am. I always like to say that we are not humans having a spiritual experience. We are spiritual beings having a human experience, right? And I think people forget that. They forget that we are spirit first, and that people, like, we are here to learn lessons. We are here to have a purpose. We are here for so much more than just the things that we were taught that was crammed into our brains since we've been little kids, which is go to school, get a job, slave over that job, get married at this certain age. They have a certain box thinking of success that we are supposed to follow, right? And they say to us that this is what success looks like.
Right.
Success is this box right here. If you're not married by this age, you're a failure. If you don't have a house by this age, you're a failure. All of that stuff is garbage. It's just programming, right? So I realized this early on, and through my journeys as an entrepreneur, I always tell people, if you want to become a better version of yourself, then go through, be an entrepreneur and also do personal growth. Entrepreneurship. Right. Entrepreneurship will show you everything about yourself that you need to work on. You don't need to do anything else, be entrepreneur. And I promise you, right. Grow. And so throughout the years, as I started to accumulate more success with customers, I also realized that success wasn't found in stuff, because we've also been taught that, when you get this 5, 6, 7 bedroom house, when you get this fancy Rolls Royce or this Lamborghini, I'm not saying that stuff ain't nice, y'all. I like those stuff too. But we've been taught that is the pinnacle of success. And that's also a big lie. Because success doesn't lie in stuff. Success lies here.
That's right.
Within you, where God is. Right? It's in you. Okay. And you're connected to God. And so we've been taught that God is like, we got to go and chase stuff to be happy. We got to have a relationship to be happy. And you can't be happy until you know who you are first. So I went on a journey to find out who I was first, who Justin was. And I started to go through those things. And then one day I woke up in the middle of the night and Spirit said, sell everything and follow your purpose. I was like, what? Like,
now when you say sell everything, like everything, like
everything.
Everything.
It was very clear.
Houses.
That small inner voice was very, very still, very clear about the instructions. It said very specifically, don't put anything in storage. Nothing. Leave with 2 suitcases and a backpack. So I'm gonna be honest with y'all. I actually ignored it for about 2 weeks. I was like, no. I just put this nice painting that I just got from my homeboy, just painted me this nice picture. And I just sat on the wall. Now, Spirit ain't gonna tell me because I just did this.
Right.
This is a nice photo, nice paint on my wall. I know Spirit ain't talking to me because I need this picture. You want me to sell that? I just got that. I just got a few things in my house. I just got this new Tesla. You telling me to sell everything? And it just kept, the voices kept getting louder and louder and louder and louder. And it wouldn't stop. And so I made a choice when I got up in the middle of the night at midnight one night. And I said to myself, you have a choice. You can follow your intuition, because many people don't follow their intuition. They off purpose. I said, you can follow your intuition, or you can keep following the pack. You can keep following the tradition of what everybody else has told you that you are, who you are, where you come from, how young you are, how old you are. Like I said, this painted picture, what everybody else tries to tell you who you are. Heck, even your name is given to you by somebody else, right? So like, when does it become your life? So you make a choice. So in that moment, I called up my best friend and I said, I'm selling everything and I'm booking a one-way flight to I don't know where. And then I ended up going on a group trip. Before I sold everything, I went on a group trip. I went to Africa. I met some of the most beautiful people, specifically Zambia, the country Zambia. And also I went to Nairobi, Kenya before I came back. And I just knew that part of my purpose, while I wasn't there forever, part of my purpose was supposed to be in those locations to be able to grow and experience my own level of spiritual awakening. And so fast forward, I was over there for 2 years, 2 suitcases and a backpack, and it absolutely changed my life. And I'm going to tell you why it changed my life. A few things. Number one, when you detach from stuff, you show that you do believe in yourself, that you are not afraid to leave everything behind for something new. Did you hear that?
Yes, definitely.
The lesson was, and then we all are tested on this level. Number one, are you willing to leave the old thing behind for something that's a new possibility that you don't know or that you can't see yet? That's number one. Number two, the lesson is that every country gives you a different energetic vibration to which it helps you grow. So you might be in chaotic environments sometimes in other countries, and that also shows you who you are and helps you grow. Some environments may be super peaceful, and it also helps you to grow and calm your energy. Some parts is you're going to grow regardless. So it completely changed my life. Traveling the world, I did it for 2 years, and you have to be willing to leave things behind. And I tell people this all the time about success. When people hear about my success, about 30,000 customers, it's always because it has nothing to do with just tactics. It has everything to do with me willing to leave something old behind in order to get to something new. That's always the reason why I do it, is because I am willing to say, we call this quantum leaping, right? I always teach my students this quantum leaping. What's the definition of quantum leaping? The definition of quantum leaping is the ability to step into a reality that's already there, right? And so, but what a lot of people forget about is that you have to first let go of this reality. So most of those stories, and that's the hardest thing to do, Adriane, it's the hardest thing to do, is to leave a story and an identity behind that you know oh so well. The story that you went to this school and you're supposed to be like this and you're shy, and your bank account, you've never had over $1,000 in your bank account. You've only worked these jobs. Those are old paradigms and stories, and those become a part of our central nervous system, and those are the hardest thing to leave, right? But when you give up those stories and you make new stories and you make new decisions, even when it's hard, that's where transformation comes from. And that's one of my missions outside of Apps Built with AI or any other brand is to make sure that people can step into a new version of themselves, and that to let them know that's my ultimate purpose. My ultimate purpose is not to teach people how to build apps. The bigger people, when people hear about I teach people how to build apps, they think that that's my purpose. Um, that's not my purpose. My purpose.
But I have to interject though, because you honestly, I witnessed joining in December, being a part of Apps Built with AI, and everybody here, Nicole, and thank you so much, TA. Everyone knows that Lynette's showing that you're willing to leave the old thing behind for something that you do not know or see, right? But one thing I have to stop you, sir. 1,000 people in a community in less than 3 months, like those numbers. I've been in the digital space, that is unreal, you know. And you can't see my face. Maybe God wanted the black screen so you can see the emphasis of what I'm saying here today, because
Mhm.
that's amazing. I mean, you've done TEDx, you had Maestro, over 30,000 customers. And one thing, Justin, that stands out with you, if I could be honest, is your customer service. It's customer service is something that you value in I know, in regards to knowing the story. So I want to say all of that to say it's not anything about even just this conversation about app building. It's about the relationship and the transformation that you're building, not only in yourself, but all of the individuals that are in the community. So thank you so much for just being you. Because again, I know that everyone here can agree with me in regards to knowing that when you call yourself the GOAT, that's a lot to be able to stand behind. So I say all that to say, talk a little bit about what this thing coding and having an idea and being able to transform it into millions, if not billions. What is this whole idea even about?
Yeah, so let me clarify something. So I'm not saying
I
that
can't. I wish you could see my face, but go ahead. I'm
let
sorry.
me let me clarify, right? So what I mean is when you understand your purpose at the core level, you can essentially do anything. Meaning like you can start a community like Apps Built with AI, which is 1,000 people in 3 months, and 50,000 people have registered for our summits over the past 3 or 4 months, and it's like crazy, crazy how everything is coming together. But my purpose is to be the reason why. Let me just clarify. Um, the reason why I have a lot of success and why I have um, you know, a lot of success, not just financially, but also spiritually, is because of I put I through the transformation of myself, I pour that into my students, I pour that into my experience, and I also pour that into my customers, right? So when you understand, if like let's say for example, let me tell you like this, right? Let's just say if I were to approach Aspil with AI just about profitability or money, you wouldn't get the experience that you got out of Aspil with AI. Does that make sense? Like if I just approached it like that, I had to approach it from a standpoint of everything has to be transformational that I do. And
Right.
so, yes, I do take that on, but my purpose is just so much bigger um, than just Aspil with AI because you guys are going to get to experience. And that's why it's like thinking bigger than just building an app, thinking about how can I build a company that impacts people? How can I? That's been the thought process about building all of this, right? How can I build something that impacts people? How can I have their experience be transformational like I will want? You know what I mean? And so that's why I appreciate the words because a lot of people don't know all the hard work that goes behind making sure you're managing people, making sure that you're having your customers have a great experience. That's not easy things to do, right? But that
No, it's
came
not.
from the person that I became. That came from the person that I became, and it also came from the person that I've become. And so now I can actually help my clients get to their end result faster because of the result of who I'm becoming. That
So, you know, my friend, I have to also point out a couple of things. Every time you do a summit, it seems like every month, right?
every
And
month.
you're
Yep.
always giving something away. And
Mhm.
so, how did it impact you when our 14-year-old special, you made an impact not only on a 14-year-old girl, but also a young man as well? How did that impact you in regards to just transformation, seeing that you're bringing families and legacy together with this thing that they're saying is just an app building process? How did that make you feel?
I mean, words can describe, you know, like I said, my purpose isn't just to make money. My purpose is to help other people transform their lives. That's my
Right.
bigger purpose. And so when you have that purpose, you're going to get that result. And so seeing what it's become has really, I'm gonna be honest with you, I probably don't share this publicly enough, but I know my app's built with AI peeps watching, so I'll share this. It's humbling because it's one thing to envision that, hey, through this product, through what we're doing, it could transform people's lives, it can help them grow, it could help them, you know, because that was always the vision, is to like hand people a system that can act, if they actually do the work, if they actually do what I tell them to do, if they actually follow the process, something that can really, really transform their life, right? And so, and that's actually interestingly enough, that page, we got a new page that's going live here soon.
Okay.
That's amazing with new speakers. So I'll share that in the chat. But you know, it's been a. I mean, I'm so,
Okay.
one of the things I'll say this is like, I am so grateful for my community. I wouldn't have been able to do this with you guys, you included, Adrian, of singing my praises, just always being there, you know, and I'm just so grateful for my community. I mean, we're 1,000 strong in that community. And I'm just grateful, man. And every time I see that, it warms my heart and it makes me want to work harder. It makes me want to show up for my customers more. It makes me want to actually, you know, I've been in the game for almost 15 years, Adrian. I've seen so much garbage out here. Like, let's speak the truth, right? There's a lot
Right.
of garbage in the marketplace, a lot of garbage. There's a lot of crap products, right? And some of you in my community haven't heard this. I'm grateful for you too, my man. I'm grateful. But I'll say this, right? There is a lot of garbage in the marketplace, a lot of it. There's a lot of trash products. There's a lot of people that don't put their heart and soul into what they're building. I made a declaration a couple years ago before I came back, before I offered anything else, that I will put my heart and soul into it, and that I will make sure that my customers were taken care of. And doing that, in opposed to just being focused on the money, has made me fulfilled as a person, as a human, as a soul connector, right? Because being focused on not just the money and focused on caring about the people behind the money and the transaction has made me completely different, right? And it's also helped me to not just articulate my message better, but that's allowed me to pour into my product. That's allowed for me to create my product. That's allowed for me to, as I'm in, like right before you called, I had some stuff, but that's like putting, like, you become the best version of yourself through the darkness, right? Then you're molded by the light. Then your energy starts to radiate through the world. And then you put that effort into creating a great product, and then your tribe comes to you. This is how I all put it together, right? Then your tribe comes to you and they are attracted to you, and then they experience transformation, and then they do the same thing. The most people don't think past the money. The money, like I tell people, abundance isn't about screaming from the rooftops that you have the greatest product in the world. The money comes from you putting your effort into the experience of your customers and making sure that they have a great experience, and also that they are transformed by your product, and then they can transform their customers' lives, and then they transform yours, and it becomes this cycle. That's, life is supposed to be like that, Adrian. I'm supposed to be changing your life. Then you're supposed to go out and change this person's life. That's the way life's supposed to be. Unfortunately, the game got messed up because some people don't want to see us shine, right? So at the point, we got to say, who cares what people think? I don't care what you think about me, right? You got to have that mentality, and you got to go out and be able to build something that's meaningful, and you got to do it your way and not other people's ways. Because if you try
And
to follow your favorite gurus, you may be led astray, right? So I had to basically create a new path of a new resistance. That's why in the program, I'm always updating the program. People go, well, Justin, I just paid you. Well, I'm showing you that you're not just a transaction. I don't have to update the product, right? I don't.
You don't.
I could just, it's me.
You
You pay
don't
me your
like
money and I can say, thank you, thank you so much. Have
right.
a nice day. That's the way that 95% of people do these days.
Yes.
They say, you give me your money and value. To me, that's not a transformational experience. The transformation comes like this. I want this to be above and beyond what this person ever thinks. So when you give me your money, I'm not taking your money, I'm exchanging value. And I want to show you that by giving you more value than you give me in money, right? That also can spread to you and also help you to create in your products and your services. And I do this in mostly every business I have. I have a couple businesses like, guess what? Let me say this too, Adriane. When you operate with excellence like this, you are not going to vibe with 95% of people.
I know.
Not even the guru service.
Right.
You will also be interpreted by most people as a perfectionist. You will also be interpreted by most people as they don't like when you're challenging. They don't like to be challenged, right?
Mm-hmm.
People inherently don't like to be inherently challenged. We've been taught that when we're challenged that it messes up our identity. No, you're challenged because you're being challenged by somebody who operates at a certain frequency, right? And so I would say, everybody who's in my community who's watching this, I'm grateful for you. If I've never told you this, I know sometimes I'm like on the humble bus, but I just say I'm grateful for my community for helping me get to where I'm at. And I'm also grateful for my community for helping this vision come alive by you guys also working hard and building. When I see people like Emma, my girl Emma, she launched what do you call it? Why my brain just a bullying app, right?
Yeah,
She has a bullying app.
Mm-hmm.
When I saw that, it completely transformed who I was, because I was like, wow, like I gave some tools and this person built this out, right? Or like Nicole, her business app, or Nichelle, her notes app, or like you with taxes. Every time I see somebody build something, most people will be like, oh, because they don't care. They'll be like, whatever. But every time I see somebody post, that lights a fire in me that gets me excited. And it also allows for me to say, all right, let me go back in the lab and let me make sure that I'm over delivering. So yeah.
But I mean, these comments speak for themselves. I mean, understanding your humbleness. Thank you for your comment, Lynette, in regards to don't shorten yourself with GOAT numbers and success. I have to agree with that 100%. And then came in as well. Leave the old to get to the new of excellence. So you define excellence in so many ways that, like a Talia knows that she's always so supportive, and she's giving you love here and saying she's grateful for you, as well as Dale says grateful for the program, because again, it is like nothing I've ever seen before as well. I know we had some tech issues and I didn't get to be able to tell my intro thing, but you actually 6 months ago, seriously, like all of the different comments and summits, but having this structure of what you bring with the program, it's something that is bar to none. And it's you can go to YouTube, get free education, you can go to a summit, but investing in yourself, that's what's so key. So I want to take this few minutes before we go into our top 8. Talk about, that pain, Justin, that you had to get here. I know you had to turn a lot of relationships away. You had to say no to a lot of investors because, again, you did things differently, trusting God through your process. So before we jump into the top 8, I wanted to have you talk a little bit about that pain that you had to get through, and how did you get through it to get to who you are today, traveling the world and even working and giving opportunities internationally?
That's a great question. And I'll summarize it by saying this. It's not a popular answer, but it's a great answer, I think, for everybody watching this. It's this. And a lady left me with this gift in And when I was living in Bali, Indonesia, she didn't know this, but she left me with a great gift. I was in her spiritual class, and I always tell people like, if you ever want to really find more of yourself, go overseas and definitely go to Bali. Right, one of my favorite spiritual places in the world. And I spent about 6 months in Bali, and it taught me a lot about myself. And one of the things that she said this, she says, you know, God's greatest warriors who's on purpose are typically the most perceived by the world the loneliest, right? But the loneliness isn't defined by what the world says, which is you need somebody, you need this. And we do need people, right? We need each other, we need community. But she said something. She said the loneliness of God sometimes for seasons is for protection.
Hmm.
And so I had to really change my lens because I have friends all over the world. I've never been like I have best friends. I got all type of friends. You know, one of the most vulnerable things I could say though is like, you know, my family growing up, my family was always distant, and I've always craved like, you know, family connection. But what I also recognize the success of where I came from and where I'm going requires seasons of silence. And this kills most people because darkness also translates. If you look at some of the wording and some of the different definitions around darkness, darkness also equals silence. So we people you've been people have been taught that darkness is bad. Darkness isn't bad. We all come from the darkness, right? We all come from those places. The challenge is that what we don't realize is that darkness equals silence. So a
Hmm.
lot of times you have seasons where it's silence. You might have seasons where you're not making as much money as you could be. You got seasons where you know, you may have relationships that leave. You might have seasons where you break up with your significant other. You have seasons where you get into disagreements with family. You have seasons where you essentially you disconnect from somebody that you were connected to before. So we have these seasons and we have an objective where we become strong, and this is what happened to me, and I'm telling you this for a reason. What ends up happening in these seasons when all I call, you know, people refer to it as all type of things, all hell breaking loose, right? Whatever you want to define,
Right.
hell breaking loose, life is kicking your butt, whatever you want to define it as is basically what happens. But life becomes transformational, and why I such a powerful person that shows up in life is because of this, is because in those silent seasons, I don't put too much definition to what's happening. I call it, and many of you have probably heard me say this, it's called trusting the process,
Hmm.
right?
Say that again.
Trusting the process.
Okay. Yes.
TTP, trusting the process.
Right.
So I tell people, like, because some people when they come in the apps build with AI, they don't have a lot of technology skills. So then some of them they freak out. I know some of y'all watching this, y'all have been through, y'all take me through it, right? Y'all freak out. Like, oh my God, I don't know this, I don't know this. And it's just because the mind always is trying to find definition to things that are happening, right? That's the way the mind is. The mind is always trying to say, if somebody does you wrong, you say, that means that I can't. I was just actually writing an article about this. Like when stuff happens to us, we are so powerful that we make the determination of what something means. So I can say, like, let's say if two women break my heart, which two women have broke my heart before, by the way. I don't know why they would do that, but they broke my heart. Okay. But let's say two women break my heart, right? I got the choice of two things. I could say, you know what? Because those two women broke my heart, it means that all women, and you seeing this on social media, right?
Hmm.
All men, all women, all the garbage that people repeat, right? Because those are people that haven't really found peace within themselves. And what ends up happening is that they put a definition to something No, that woman broke my heart. That woman broke my heart. And it means nothing but I need to pick better and I need to work out something within myself so that that doesn't becomes a pattern. So you see how I took self responsibility, and I also did. You see how so that's what makes you different, right? You become different, and that's how you become a more powerful leader. That's how you show up because you have self responsibility. So here's the key number one: how you show up more powerful and be perceived by the world as powerful is number one is self responsibility. Every single thing, whether it be from the money that's in your bank account to the relationships that you have to the friendships that you have to the things that you want to the things to the goals you have not hit yet, all comes down to one thing and one thing only: is that all of it is not your fault, but you have a responsibility. Okay, let me say that again. All of it is not your fault, but you have a responsibility in it. So if you don't have money right now, it's not your fault, but you do have some responsibility to change it, and you can change it by making different decisions. You may not have love right now, but you have a responsibility to love yourself so that you can attract better relationships to you, and it comes. You may not have a friendships that you want, but it is not your fault, but you have a responsibility that to yourself to take ownership of attracting people, and also certain things like making sure that you are also being a good friend. See, these are things that we don't want to take responsibility for, Adrian. We don't want that. Like, oh, if I'm going to be a good friend, if I'm telling people ain't no good friends in the world, have I taken self responsibility first to say, am I a good friend? Right? Like, give you a case in point, right? For years, I was a bad friend. But you know what I would do, Adrian? I would blame everybody else for being a bad friend. And so that there was no self realization there. There was no self accusation. So I didn't take any self responsibility. So guess what? I wasn't aware of the things that were bad, like bad habits. I wasn't aware of that. So then one day when I said, well, Justin, are you a good friend? It's not your fault that you don't have good friends, but are you a good friend? Do you check up on people yourself? Do you, when somebody has an event, like case in point, you probably saw it on Facebook or people probably seen it. One of my best friends, Julian, just got married, right? And so it was his special day. So, I went all out. I made sure he had a great experience, right? I made sure that everything was planned properly for him. I made sure that he got the gifts that he wanted. Because ain't no fun of making money if you don't love the people around you, right?
Say that part.
If it's no fun, like I don't need it. Listen, I don't need a fancy car to feel happy. I feel happy when I can get things for people that like allow for them to be happy. So I got him gifts and I helped him really become, and he was appreciative of that. But here's the thing that I noticed and why other people haven't taken responsibility because, and it's just being transparent. One of the things that happened was some of the guys that were there, and they didn't mean anything by it, right? They were like, they kept saying this, right? It was so funny. They kept saying, I need you as a best man. Shoot, you went all out, man. Like, shoot, this is, I've been to many bachelor stuff. I've been to everything, man. Right. This is I've never seen anybody show up like this. So you know what I told them? And to pour into them as kings and to pour into them as men, because it was a valuable moment for them to see what they deserved. So sometimes I would put the mirror back to them. And I was right. Listen to yourself. Somebody who did not show up as a friend to you, you've never experienced that before, right? So I'm putting the mirror back up to you that now you have no excuse because you saw it, right? You saw this experience of a friend showing up, buying gifts, making sure that day was special for them. You saw it now. Now you have a choice. And this is what most people, and I'm getting somewhere. Y'all know sometimes I'm long-winded, but I get to my point, right? Here's the point. Everything, because you asked me a question in the beginning about showing up, right? Everything is showing up is about your ability to take some level of self-responsibility for whatever is going on in your life right at this present moment. And you also have seen examples, and you have the choice to either make an excuse or have some self-responsibility. And then what ends up happening is you become what we call, and many people don't get to this point, but it's called an energy transmuter. What is an energy transmuter? That means that everything that comes your way, you're able to take that event and transform it.
Mm.
That means that every event that comes into your life, you realize that it's a painted picture, that you're not helpless, but that you haven't been given the tools to change that. And the first level is self-responsibility. You have to have self-responsibility. When I was broke, Adriane, when I had $20 in my bank account and I would get $1,000 and then I would live on $1,000 and then I would get back to $50 and $100, I did not take self-responsibility for that. So you know what? The pattern continued. Make a couple thousand, keep 1,000. Something will slap me upside my head, and then I lose all the money and have $50 in my bank account.
Wow.
But then here's what happened. One day I sat down and I was like, this is not all my fault because I wasn't taught the value of money, right? Look at you, you figured it out. Amazing. So so it wasn't that it was the value of money. It was the fact that I didn't take my self-responsibility for the fact that I was letting this pattern continue. This pattern was continuing because of me, not the world, not the president of the United States, whoever that is, not the government that I'm a part. Everybody blame everybody else except themselves. And when you take self-responsibility for your part in it, you won't continue on the cycle, and you break patterns and you break chains and you break bloodlines and you break curses when you do that. And you may go through a painful experience when you do this, by the way, but guess what happens? You come out on the other side of what I like to call being God's warrior. Okay. You become God's true warrior because you have now stopped the pattern of victimhood and victimship. And I don't have this money because of my color. I don't have this money because of where I grew up. I don't have this money because of my ex. And he took all my stuff, girl. He took all my stuff.
Right.
Like he took my stuff. No, it has nothing to do with them. You can choose right in this present moment to say, here's where it stops with me. I'm going to step into my power. And from there, let me just tell y'all what happens. You attract the relationship you truly want. You attract friends that treat you the way you deserve to be treated. You are able to make freedom-based decisions like leaving the country for 2 years and not having to answer to a JOB or never having to answer to anybody because you're making choices that make you different. You are also able to create as much abundance and wealth as your heart desire. And that is when, my friends, the money that you think that is a lot of money becomes less of a lot of money because you've transmuted your power. So if you make $100,000 in a year, then you start to think about, how can I make that in a day? How can I make that in a month? How can I make that in every 6 months? And guess what happens? Because you've taken self-accountability for whatever is going on in your life, your mind and your body and your spirit goes, we are now self-responsible. We now can create new choices. We can now create new experiences. So I know that was a long answer, but I felt like I just go with the flow of my spirit. And I felt like whoever's listening to this needs to know that it's not anybody else stopping you, but you getting past the ego and saying, here's where I'm at. Here, I take responsibility for this. Now I can create new choices.
I mean, like Lynette said, she said, you can literally write a book on accountability, and it is a choice. And Glenn came in and said 100% is a choice as well. So agreeing with you, but
that is not what 100. Listen, I'm from Chicago. She from Chicago. Gwen said 100. That means she agreed. I know that Chicago 100 when I say it. That's that Chicago 100.
So before I let you out of here, you have to talk about the 2-day conference you have coming up here in June. I mean, it's a in-person Detroit to ATL, shorty. So I'm coming down, so I want to make sure that you have a moment, even through everything, to talk about this amazing summit you have live here before we wrap it up here.
Yeah. So, the conferences have been something that I've always been and you could put it back on me for a second because I want people to feel this, right? I always tell people it don't matter your background, where you come from, where you grew up. Conferences changed my life. It became to a point once I really saw this opening of freedom that you can actually create any lifestyle that you want. I realized that, man, like conferences were the first level to be able to do this, no matter how good you are at public speaking. Conferences were the way to be able to do this. And so I remember for years and years and years, I paid to go to conferences. Every time I got money, I would book the flight. You know what I'm saying? I would go to the conference. It was at a point where my friends were calling me like a seminar junkie, right? I was at a conference every week. And so one of the things one of the things is that I was at a conference every week. And so I realized that I was starting to grow. I was learning all these skill sets and I wanted to give that experience to other people. And so in 2016, I started my own conference, MemberCon, and I was scared. It was my first conference that I ever hosted. And I remember 100 beautiful souls flew from all around the world. And I remember I just stood on stage in my power, and people left, that experience transformed and their lives changed. And I'll never forget putting together that room. And then from the power of that room, there's still people who got businesses from that room. There's still people who became business partners from that room. There's people that became lovers in that room. I didn't say, listen, if you listen to this, I didn't say you're gonna find your lover. You might come to After AI Live and you might find your lover, right? Who knows? Some people found love. I know they got married. I was like, oh, y'all got married from, they got married from
right.
You never know, right? So, but that showed me the power of rooms, right? It showed me the power of rooms. And so AppSpill with AI is two things that I'm very passionate about. Number one is the future. And number two, I always like to say, the future is now, right? The future is now. The future is not out there.
Right.
The future is now. And here's what I'll tell you. One is that most people are not prepared for the future because they complain about buying one plane ticket. Oh my God, the plane ticket. Y'all know my voices, right? When I be in my mimicking people, y'all know I do this on purpose, right? Oh my God, the plane ticket. Oh my God, the hotel. I mean, listen, do you want it? Here's the question. Do you want it or not?
Do you want it or not? Period. Right.
That's the question I always ask people. Do you want success or not? Which one you want? You got your foot halfway in and halfway out. Which one you want? When I wanted it bad enough, I got the money and I invested into myself, right? And since then, I've been to over 100, 200, probably 300. Girl, I don't even remember, Adriane. Probably 300 conferences. And I always buy the flight, go there. And every time I be in these rooms, my net worth increases by tenfold. I increase by tenfold and my skill sets increase by tenfold. So I always tell people, get into the right rooms and your bank account will change, you will change, and you will grow beyond measure. But if you don't take self-responsibility and you look at what most people look at, they don't look at the outcome. You know what they look at? They look at the cost.
Yes.
And this is why they always are going to stay stuck, because they're always looking at the cost. I'm not saying spend your last to come to the conference. That's not what I'm saying.
Right.
What I am saying, though, is this. Do whatever is necessary so that you can be, every time you pour into yourself and you become different, And you may not see that change years from now. That one conference, there's been some conferences, Adrian, that I'd be out there. I didn't, I've been to that conference years and years and years ago. And it's still making a change inside of me. It's still helping me. It's still helping me grow. So I always like to tell people, if you can, get in the right rooms, stop looking at the cost and look at what is going to help you be the outcome. So,
but you really got to honestly, King, look at the cost of not showing up at this conference. Like if I honestly don't look at investing and taking those moments, I think about the times when you may have questioned yourself on keep going. We never would have known the things that you could have done and been capable of, even if it was 2 suitcases and a backpack. But the key part about that whole transformation, it's allowed people like a Gwen, a Nichelle, a Talia, a Dr. Vicky Wright Hamilton, all of these different individuals to collaborate as well as to excel. Boss Nicole, to come to these different things to help each other through the process. So I know you're humble within it, and that's why people like me are here. Because again, I think that this is amazing in what you're doing, Justin. And I honestly know that words can't sometimes say that, that's just the human part of us. But I'm so glad that the camera was able to come in on towards the end, because again, it's able to allow me to say thank you. Everyone just witnessed, and this was not made up. When I tell you, I'm about to get emotional again. Everyone witnessed the type of person you are, jumping in right away to just be you. You treat everybody like family. I just say thank you. And, in regards to this, is actually a year anniversary of doing live conversations consistently every Tuesday, and you sealing the deal, just coming in doing a mini training when the world just kind of technology just does what it does. But
it's challenges. It's having this ability to respond to challenges, and that shows you're leaders. You see how you went black, you didn't have no sound. I could have did a couple things, Adrian. I could have bought myself, and don't get me wrong, my mind sometimes plays these tricks on me that it play on y'all sometimes. I think people think that my mind don't do this. My mind was like, well, this is her show, so let her get her stuff together. Let me just go to the background and mute myself and cut off the camera. I could have done that, right? Yeah. I could have totally did that. But then the leader in me was like, my people here, your people here, whoever's watching this, great leaders show up when it's not convenient and when there's challenges. And so in that, I was like, hey, let's get it. Let's teach a master class. If she don't ever come back for 30 minutes, they would have learned something.
Right.
They would have learned something if I was here.
Well, if they didn't learn anything, then you showed them what authenticity looked like, what just being a true leader looked like. And I want to say thank you. So I wanted to not take too much of your time, but real quick, run through the top 8 as people want to relate with you really fast. It's just something fun we do just to wrap up our live conversation. So I'm going to start with the best one ever. If you could be any superhero, what superhero would you be? I would be Flash, because I'm a Delta. But what superhero would you be, Justin?
I would be Batman. I like Batman because Batman's smooth with it. Like he got a lot of money, but he show up as Bruce Wayne when it's necessary. So he talk his stuff, but then in the night he's saving people's lives. He does it just because he loves who he is. So, he actually wants to see a change. So I would definitely be Batman.
Okay, I love it, Batman. And play along with us if you're watching here live or even with the replay. So, okay, Justin, you have Batman. So the next question for you is, where are you actually from? So where do you call home now? So I'm from Detroit, Michigan. What up, though? And home is Detroit, Michigan as well. What about yourself? I know you mentioned a little bit about Chicago and the ATL. Kind of let people know where you're from and where you are now.
Oh, listen, ain't no. I mentioned Chicago. I got Chicago running through my blood. I preach Chicago all over the world because, Chi-Town, Chicago has changed my life. I grew up there for 30 something years of my life. It made me who I am. I will rep Chicago to the day that I die. But now the world has become my home. And so ATL is also my second home where I am based right now. Atlanta will always be a home. So Chicago and also Atlanta and the world will always be my home.
Okay, okay. So look, we have to look, go back to the comment, your back cave. You're in your back cave changing lives. So
Yep.
that's hilarious. And so we have a business partner, Anika, showing giving you love as well. And Gwen's giving you love from Chi-Town. And of course the Bears, but we're not gonna bring the
Oh
Lions up.
goodness, it's horrible. They're a horrible team.
So my next question for you is in regards to travel. Like that's one of the things that attracted me to you was your travel to Dubai, Africa, Zimbabwe, all these different
Mhm.
locations. What's your favorite place you traveled to and why? Mine is Toronto. My cousin used to play professional ball there for the Toronto
Mhm.
Raptors. So the T Dot still is my favorite. What about you? What about yours? Michelle said
Um,
yours.
so I have a couple. I don't have one. I have a couple.
Okay, okay.
So when I'm in the state, I like to base it like different regions of the world. That's the best way because I can't just name one. So my favorite in the States is Atlanta, Georgia. If I were to put up my favorite location because of just how diverse it is and how you can find anything you want in Atlanta. I love Atlanta. It's one of my favorite places in the country.
Mhm.
Out in Africa, I will say my favorite country is South Africa. My assistant Shalom would love to hear that, but South Africa is a vibe to me. I just love the people. When I lived there, I love Cape Town. One of my
Mm.
favorite cities in the world is Cape Town, South Africa. And then last two is I would have to say Bali, Indonesia. Uh, I have a house in Bali, so I love to spend
Mm.
part of the year in Bali. It's one of my peaceful places when I want to get away from the chaos and the hustle and bustle. I love, um, you know, I love Bali, Indonesia, and then last and finally will have to be Thailand. Thailand is also one of my favorite places in the world too.
That's two places I haven't been. I've been to 48 out of the 50 states. I've been traveled internationally, but you've got me on a couple. Okay, thank you. Appreciate that. So my next
Yeah.
one is a fun one as well. Do you have a certain food that's your favorite food that you can eat all day, every day that would never bother you? Mine is watermelon. What food would that be for you?
So if it's fruit, I can't. It's a weird thing to say this, but fruit is pomegranate. I can eat pomegranate all day. Like pomegranate seeds,
All right.
I
Okay.
can eat those like all day long. I don't know what it is, but they just do something to my taste. I can eat pomegranate seeds all day.
Hmm.
Regular food, I'm gonna have to go back to Chicago, my city. I can eat home run in pizza, the best pizza in the world. I'm not debating here. I can eat home run. I can eat. It's something that like home run in just do to me. I don't care what nobody say, but home run in is my favorite pizza in the world. If somebody got me a gift card to home run in, I would probably hug them for like about 20 hours if I got a gift card to home run in. So if y'all ever want to buy me a birthday gift,
Right.
buy me a gift card to home run in pizza. Oh my god, I would buy
Michelle
me
said sushi is her favorite, and Emma said fish and ice cream. But good question. Lynette asked, "Is it deep dish?" That's a good question. Is it deep dish?
no. Regular. We in Chicago. We don't do too much. We do deep dish every so often. It's regular, regular square home run in pizza. One of my favorite pieces
Home
in
run
the
in.
yeah.
It's
I
that
did.
was
I did actually. Today said that like I actually had got an addiction to see like it's like every part of the world that you spend in
uh-huh.
you become addicted to their food like and you just as a go-to like in like when I was in Africa it was jolo rice, right? And
Hmm.
shishumi, I think it is like where you take it, it's like the white stuff, you take it, yeah, shishumi, everybody calls it differently. You take it and you put it with the fish and you dip it and it was
Huh.
amazing. And then in Thailand, it was just eggs, um, I think they call it Thai rice or something like that. That stuff was so good. Oh my god, so
I
good.
love different things as well. That's awesome. And Talia said her favorite was pasta, and Gwen said hers is caramel cheese popcorn. So, and then a good question. Cinnamon said, "Is it good though?" It is good. She said it is good. Okay, that's awesome. Look, I made it a question.
I
So,
thought Talia was saying pasta. I thought she was saying like a pasta. I was like, what? Okay,
right.
she said pasta with the A's on the end. Okay.
So, last couple of questions for you, my friend. In regards to a certain day or time of the year that's the best time for you, that you enjoy. It could be a birthday or a season. Mine is my sobriety date, November 20th, 2023. I feel like that whole new Adriane just coming out. Most of the things that you talked about on some of your podcasts and even talked about today, just becoming the best version of yourself. That's kind of when I showed up. Do you have a time or a part of the year? It could be a birthday or a season that stands out for you.
Yeah, I mean, I think that two seasons, obviously I'm a little bit different. I celebrate the springtime around this season, not necessarily at the end of the year like most people do. So
Mhm.
springtime always, around the April, um, you know, March, April, May area, depending on where you celebrate it. And Lynette says it, right? It represents newness, it represents
Mhm.
birth. So that's always a dope season for me. And then, August 27th, around 2003 is when my grandmother passed away, Ekarina. So I have her tatted on me. It's the only tattoo I got in my whole life. But I have her name tatted on me because she was one of the first people to pour into me and told me to believe in myself. So her birthday signifies me always every year around her birthday. Um, I always look at myself and say, am I showing up as the best version of myself,
Mm.
right? So that's always a good question, if you will. So yeah.
And then one of my favorite cousins, that's why I was smiling before you said your grandmother had passed. Definitely my condolences. One of my favorite cousins' birthday is at August 27th. And then
Okay.
and
Yeah.
Michelle said her birthday is 7/29. And April being the best month. I get it.
No.
I get it. So
No. Yeah.
this last question, Justin, is one I really enjoy. Or actually two questions really quickly. Do you have a
Mhm.
favorite book or movie that stands out for you? Mine is the Bible. Thank God for the Bible, as
Mhm.
well as the movie is Sinners for me. What about for yourself? Do you have a book that stands out for you and that's changed your mindset, or a movie?
So I read a lot of spiritual books.
Okay.
A lot of them are my favorite. I read a lot of spiritual books. And I would say one of the books that really changed my life was Mastery by Robert Greene and 50 Cent. I've read that book a lot.
Hmm.
I always find truth in a lot of things, so I read a lot of spiritual books, and then also, I don't know. I only have a few movies that I've watched more than once. I lose attention real fast, so if it's not interesting, I'm gonna watch it again. I don't know what it is about the Django. I've watched the Django like 30 times. I don't
Wow.
know. I know like every line to that movie with Jamie Foxx. You know what I'm talking about? The
I do.
Django.
I do.
I
Yes.
watched that movie like 30 times, and then a lot of James Cameron movies. Like, I do like Avatars. There's a lot of spiritual meanings to it. Yeah, a few things. We could be on here all day talking about that.
I know, right?
But yeah, those are just those are a few things that I enjoy.
Okay, and so my last question is one I truly enjoy. If you can go back and give your younger self a piece of advice, if you just go back and just tell yourself back in time and tap yourself on the shoulder, what piece of advice would it be? And mine would honestly be just to love myself through it all. Like through the crazy, through the ups and downs, not having to just subject myself to any or limit myself to being anything but the best version of myself. Never again. So that's what I would tell myself. What about you? What would you tell the younger version of yourself?
Um, two things. I would say. Well, I would say it's a sentence in a sense. I would say remember who you are.
Mm,
Remember who you are. You know, I always have a saying that we often think that we're recreating versions of ourselves, but I always like to say you're just remembering who you are.
mm,
Remember who you are. Remember the love that you have. Remember before you were programmed into the world, into this
yep,
matrix, into so many different places to tell you who you was not. I would always tell the younger version of Justin and say, just remember who you are.
right.
Remember you're a king. Remember you are powerful. Remember who you are, no matter what people say about you, that you are powerful. I've always wanted to go tell my younger, and you still can. What's funny enough is tell you the younger version of yourself who you truly are. So remember who
Mhm.
you are is a big one.
What would you say your brand is represented in one word? If you had one word, what would it be? Mine is
Abundance.
resilience.
Abundance.
Come on, abundance. That's how you drop the mic at the end. Let's
Abundance.
go.
Abundance with everything. Abundance in health, which is what I'm working on now. Abundance in wealth. Abundance in prosperity. Abundance in just everything. So abundance. Yeah.
Honestly, you inspired me to do so many things, and I'm gonna definitely talk about just the things we have coming up next. But Justin, thank you for saying yes to this conversation. Just taking your time out today and just being a part and just being a part of the solution, not the problem today. I truly appreciate you more than you'll ever know. And for those type of things, you have to support, you have to invest, you have to grow because you're helping not only millionaires but billionaires create a pathway to do so. And I'm not going to let you get off of here and to get your roses now. If you're live in the chat, a part of Justin's program, please let him know how amazing he is. Because again, this is one of those things that as leaders, we hardly hear. That's why I was laughing backstage listening to you. Because again, as leaders, sometimes we don't have that support. But anything I can do to help you with your journey in regards to building and growing, please know that you got a favorite out of Adriane Mays. I'm hard to get rid of. You can ask my business partner. You're stuck. So thank you for all you do. Truly thankful.
I appreciate that, Queen. Thank you so much. And thank you to all my people for being a part of, what we're building. I always like to say this. We are building the future, and you just gotta keep going to get to the prize, right? And so just keep building, never give up on yourself, never give up on your dreams. And yeah, just don't put any meaning to anything. Because literally in one day, you can be like, if every day you were to build just I would tell people every day build 10% of your dream.
Yeah.
That's all you got to do at the very minimum in life is build 10% of your dream, right? That's it.
Yeah.
If you were to build 10% of your dream, every day your dream will come to realization. And then on top of that, one day, if you stop putting definitions to things, oh, I haven't made it yet. Oh, I'm not making no money. All the definitions that people do, one day that thing could change in the heart in literally a fraction of a minute. So thank you so much for being on. I appreciate it. Thank you so much for everybody. I appreciate you. Thank you, Nicole. Thank you to all my crew. We got so much more in store to do. We got a lot coming. And yeah, I'm just grateful, man. I appreciate all you guys saying the hard work. You're the reason why I keep working hard. And yeah, we just getting started, baby. As y'all know my
We're just
saying.
getting started. That's right. That's
Getting
right.
started.
So thanks, Coach. I appreciate your time today. I'm gonna let you get back to your day, and I'm gonna wrap up and talk about what I should have talked about at the beginning.
All right. Appreciate you,
All
Queen. I
right.
appreciate
Thank you, my friend.
you.
I appreciate you. Justin Burns was here live, AI Legacy App Talk Live. It went exactly the way it was supposed to go. I want to thank everyone for just the patience being a part, being interactive, and just showing up here live and being a part of the solution and leaving comments, engaging. Thank you. I had to break into support mode. My business partner Unica came and had my back. I mean, just things happen for a reason, and I no longer try to figure out the why, but I truly know that God is here. The tools and resources, I'm telling you, in regards to change, allow you to grow through these different technology times. This is what happens in the app building world, my friends. If you get involved with technology, you will have these live conversations. You'll have a Zoom. You'll have a meeting that you're preparing for days and hours. Oh my goodness. And things happen just like they do. But then how do you show up afterwards? That shows the type of person that you are. And so I appreciate every single person showing up and being a part of the solution of this actual information as well. So I can't let go of this day without being able to kind of share the information about what's coming up next here, things they don't tell about you. Oh my goodness. I'm going to drop in the chat a link for you to be able to register for the book launch June 2nd at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So I know the Building Wealth and Legacy with AI has been inspired by Justin Burns as well, in having the opportunities to have apps and building legacy. Unica Gaines and Adriane Mays, we are launching our book, Things They Don't Tell You, a financial memoir. And to register, I want you to be able to have that opportunity, and I'm going to be able to drop it into the chat. It's something, it's more than just a book. Because when you're a part of something like an Apps Built with AI community, you get inspired to do anything. I was talking to TA earlier, that's a part of our community as well. And she was sharing with me just how God is all within our journey and everything is aligned in due process. And we're all here in regards to, for a reason. She's in financial literacy. I'm in financial literacy. She came and showed up here live today, just as several of our family does. I truly appreciate the Apps Built with AI family because, again, having these different opportunities, this is how you win. Let me just share with you really quick here a factor. Like when you're thinking about distribution, because when you're building an app, the next step is to, I have to actually have people use it, right? So when you think about how you're setting up your social media and leveraging AI, when you have a Justin Burns and a process and a program, helping one another is what you do. And as you witnessed today, that could not have been made up. Oh my gosh. As you witnessed today, when things happen, how you handle those things, how we handle them as a family. Justin's stuck. He's stuck with me now in ways that he has no idea, because he caught me in a moment when I fell. When someone catches you when you fall and you can't control it, that's what this book is about, this financial memoir. It's not about money, my friends, because mindset, when you transform your mindset to know that you put the right people around you, you build around you, you have all the individuals that are trying to help you along the way, that's what success looks like. The billionaire journey is not about finances, just like Justin talked about. It's going to be nice to have the Ferraris and all that kind of stuff. That's cool. But day 716 of the billionaire journey is all about building the mindset. Now, I felt like, because when I went to the back, I had a couple of tears real quick, but then I re-energized. I feel like I'm crazy. But what ended up happening is God's going to put you through tests, and you're going to have to be able to sustain through different foundations. And I'm glad that you all hung out there with me, was able to still interview. And my business partner told me that the camera was on the top, and this isn't my computer. So I'm like, and then I figured it out at the end of the interview, but it's okay. It was exactly how it's supposed to be. So I say all that to say, I'm dropping in the comments the link for you all to be a part of the book launch, to be a part of something that's going to be bigger than myself, than anything I can imagine, because I didn't even want to write a book. That was not the part of the plan. But what was happening is what God does, So this financial memoir is so amazing. We're going to talk a little bit more about it. I just wanted to introduce it to you, and so you can kind of get an idea of what's possible with AI and having presentations and building this billionaire dream. And that's what the AI legacy. That's what we're going to do here with our team. So thank you for showing up here live for the amazing conversation with Justin Burns. I have to let you all know who's coming up here next with the lineup, because we have so many different individuals that have said yes to the conversation. And when you say yes to your app, I was talking to TA earlier, when you say yes to yourself, people are going to say yes to you too, but you have a passion, you have a vision. And so today we wrapped up with Justin Burns. Thank you so much, Justin, for coming on live. Zakira Smith is coming on May 12th, my friends, at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. This app founder has built an app, the ultimate app for expats. And so for travel internationals, and has her own community. She's going to talk a lot about, the information that she has going on to build her actual building and growing her community and her dream. So we have Zakira Smith on May 12th, 2026. And then on May the 19th, we have Nicole Player. She was here live with us, as well as The Boss. She has several apps that she's going to talk about here, including Boss Ease, which is a leadership app that's going to help you in regards to leveling up with your mindset. May 19th at 4 p.m., she'll be able to cover more information there. JG El Paso, May 26th, 2026 at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. JG will be a part of the solution, sharing with us about her Privacy First app. And so showcasing how privacy is important in regards to app building and being able to set up your system and having that system protect your investment. Because again, when you're building products and you don't know what you don't know, Gwen, who's here live, tells us this all the time. The key thing about that is getting around people that do know. So again, I am one to just take a moment and just tell you thank you. The day went as it was supposed to go exactly. Thank you for showing up here live and being a part of the solution. Justin, thank you for saying yes. Shalyn, thank you for having my back. And thank you every single person showing up here live here today, because again, it wouldn't be anything without you. And I'm going to continue to keep going, keep growing, keep building. 1 year anniversary here today of our live conversations. And I had an amazing first time of technology going out. So first time for everything. You know how we wrap up our live conversations? Make sure you drop in the comments if you enjoyed this live conversation. Anything else we can engage as we grow and build and help out with the solution of not just app building, but financial solutions and mindset and growth, one day at a time. My friends, I can, I will, I am victorious. What up though? Adriane Mays from Detroit, Michigan to the Chi-Town to the ATL, shorty. Let's go. Deuces. See you next Tuesday.